Yo, my name is Ellsworth, and this is Box of Tricks. Let's talk about some music. But first of all, check out my new logo that I got. My man Nate made this for me, and I dig it. I mean, I like the old one, but apparently not a lot of you people can read graffiti anymore, and that bums me out. I grew up with the graffiti stuff. It's kind of my first introduction to the underground. So now hearing it, the people in the underground can't read it, that hurts my heart a little bit. Makes me feel like part of it's over. But you move on, you evolve. So shouts to Nate for this dope new logo. I appreciate it, homie. And today, we're going to talk about a fucking vicious tune. This is one of my old school secret weapons. This is Paul Blackout, Simulated Demons. I love this song. I have no idea where I found it, because Paul Blackout's not a name that you really hear. I never really heard anybody else talk about him. But, man, he made a big old pile of my shit. In a good way. Like my stuff, not like my shit. So I've talked about in the past on some of these where, like, I've not always been that comfortable playing raga jungle. I still do it, and I still love jungle. I'll always love jungle. It's my favorite iteration of drum and bass or breakbeat, whatever you want to call it. But the raga bit sometimes makes me feel like I'm kind of faking the funk, because I don't speak that patois. It's not my background. It's not what I come from. So I feel a little bit like disingenuous sometimes when I play it. I mean, if a tune's mean enough, I'll just chuck it down, even if I can't understand what they're saying, because whatever. But I've always gravitated more to people that sampled the stuff that I come from, like, 90s Wu-Tang shit and stuff like this, because this is just some mean amens with like metal guitar over it. Even the break sounds a little bit like one from Metallica. So, yeah, just custom made for a guy like me. I love this tune so much. Both sides of this are actually really cool. Maybe we'll do the B-side, which is called Experiment, I believe. But not today. Today we're doing Simulated Demons. So, I'm going to chuck it on. This is a great, great song. I'll pop in a couple of times with a couple of snippets, a little bit of DJ, I don't know, musings. Mostly I'll let it rock. And by the way, if you follow me on YouTube, I'm actually going to start putting up the songs by themselves as well. I had one dude in the comments bitching like, dude, shut up and play the fucking song. And first of all, fuck you. This is what I do. But second of all, fair point. So if you're on YouTube and you follow me on there, I'll have a different playlist of just the songs. So if you don't want to hear me talk and you don't want to see my handsome face, well, you can fuck right off and go to that playlist instead. Anyway, let's get into it. I hope you like it. It's gangster as fuck. First thing I love here is this like steady haunting tone that's laid over the beginning. It'll stand out when you're mixing into this, and it'll help make the changeover feel more natural.
I'm not really me. I'm a computer simulation.
feel like this bit here does a lot of work towards keeping everything interesting with the way it trades between the drum samples every 8 beats. That variety is present pretty much throughout the whole track, and it really helps it to keep from getting stale. Down here a bit, that steady tone comes back in to grab your attention and signify movement between the more aggressive sections. The whole midpoint here is just to get you ready for the metal guitars coming in heavy, most notably in the mid-break coming up that has the same energy as the iconic 3/4 point in Metallica's One. So I'm just gonna let it speak for itself from here on out and chime in at the end pretty much, but yeah, check this out. I'm a computer simulation. That shit is mean, right? Man, I wish there was more stuff out there like this. It's such a novelty to hear like death metal jungle. People have done it in the past. You might have heard some of it more like in the breakcore area of music, like Bong Ra and Shit Mat, but this is cleaner than a lot of those guys' productions. Bong Ra has some of it that's actually pretty clean, but Not like this, man. This is really just like made with all the trimmings of a drum and bass track, but it's metal jungle instead. Ah, God, man. If there was a whole plethora of this stuff, I would spend a full set of it and just all day. But there's not. This actually is going to be a short and sweet kind of video. I don't have a lot to say about this, you know. Paul Blackout is not a name that I've heard anybody else ever say. I know a lot of DJs, a lot, because everybody spins, which is great. And I don't think anybody else has ever even mentioned him before. I've never seen him on a flyer. I mean, he's not from around here. I believe he's from Australia. But yeah, it's just something I must have come across digging through the digital crates on like Satellite or Breakbeat Science or HTFR whenever. I mean, years and years ago. And it just, man, it hit me right, you know? It's such a good tune. But there's something satisfying about having a song that's so chaotic and so mean also have that mixability that I mentioned. You know, the intro and the outro really provide a great landscape to be manipulated. There's a lot of room for whatever is before it and whatever is after it to breathe and to establish their own presence in a mix. That's great. I appreciate that. That's something that a lot of producers don't take the time to do, especially back in this day. You know, 2010, 2008, that whole area, there was a lot of like cinematic drum and bass that was like long intros with no hi-hats and no percussion. They were just unnecessary, you know what I mean? And you didn't really have a lot of options other than just let them be these like cinematic experiences. You know, they were dramatic. And while I can appreciate that from like a singular song standpoint, you know, from an artist creating something, I'm not up there to wait, you know? If you ever seen me play, I like to be busy. I like to have, you know, something to do at all times. And if I'm not, well, then that track has earned it, or the faders are up and I just got to let things happen. So to have somebody create something like this and have it not only be satisfying and diverse enough to travel its whole length and not need any really additional stuff. You don't have to cut over this. You don't have to do anything. It's got the variety to be entertaining its entire length. But to have it also be mixable on both sides, that's kind of like the dream. That's what I want out of a tune. You know, if it's not going to be something that I can use as a tool that I can cut around with and kind of use as a puzzle piece in a larger picture, then I want it to be something that I can get into and get out of cleanly. And in that middle bit, it's earning its stripes. It is playing well. And that's what this does. I wish there was more from Paul Blackout. I have a handful of tunes from him that are this similar style. I think one of them is actually a remix done for a metal band, which I'll go into that in a minute. But other things from him kind of had that crossbreed kind of feel to them that are like a little bit of hardcore, a little bit of drum and bass, a little bit like, you know, half 4/4 and half breakbeat, which is cool. But again, I think I have less than like 5 or 6 tunes from this guy. And it's a shame because if he was still around making stuff, I'd be buying it. I'd be playing it. It might clear a floor here and there. I'm not really sure. Hopefully people react to it. We'll see. But yeah, not a lot to say about Mr. Paul Blackout other than thank you, because this shit's a gangster. But I did a little research into the label Hardline Rekordingz, which is, actually I should probably get the information for this tune out. This is Paul Blackout. The tune is called Simulated Demons. It came out in 2010 on Hardline Rekordingz. And I got a little bit of history on Hardline Rekordingz, which is kind of cool, I think. So I'll bring you in there real quick and close it out with that information. So yeah, let's do it. So Hardline Rekordingz was originally founded in 1998 as a hardcore speedcore label by a guy named Max Veritek, who went by DJ moniker Animal Intelligence. And in 2003, it changed hands and Paul Blackout took over, which marked a shift to seeing the label push out more D&B related releases. There still remained like a sort of sub-label called Hardline Yellow that was to handle the more like hardcore and speedcore releases, but nothing from that area has surfaced since Blackout took over in 2003. There's been a thin stream of releases from Hardline, but steady, since it became a D&B-centered label, with the last being an EP titled Nachos Rule from Paul Blackout and Fiend back in 2015. A handful of notable names from hard and dark D&B have also had their work on Hardline Rekordingz, including some of my favorites, like Archon, C-Day to Kill, Dave Akuma, and the mighty DJ Hidden, as well as DJ GIS's Goliath Amen Stomper Juggernaut, which I did a video on a little while back. But if you look through the discography, it's pretty clear that Paul Blackout was the cornerstone of this label, and I plan on giving each and every tune from him a proper turn and try to find out if there's anything else that's like this caliber of release, because he has some beastly tunes. I found a couple sets from him, and everything in his sets are always great to hear, so I'm hoping there's a couple more gems out there before I exhaust this little supply that's available to us. And that is going to do it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this unique little D&B Amen jungle-ish metal stomper. I sure as hell do. And maybe now that I've talked about it, I'll get the courage to play it in a live set soon, one of these days. But I appreciate you sticking around for all of this, and I will talk to you next time. Peace.